all the other stuff. Uh, he was a guy, and of course during the weeks he didn't get the reps. He didn't get to do what he got to do. Now it's different. It's a different mentality. So my point is, if they're going to really legitimately give him, um, a chance, they need to give him a chance. And I feel like that's the tough thing to do. That's really the tough thing to do. I feel like we haven't really gotten a full chance to see what he's capable of doing. And if they do, and he's not good enough, then you move on from him. As for Dwayne Haskins, to me, the thing that would concern me the most, honestly, the thing that would concern me the most is that he this year didn't show coaches anything that would suggest he's ready to be the backup, much less the starter. But again, if it's a real competition, I'm okay with it. That's the point. And that's where, if you bring somebody else in, bring them in early. That's the point. So at the end of the day, it comes down to this. We need to see what Mason Rudolph can do if he has got the whole season, off season, to work as if he's going to be the starter. And then go through the preseason, and then, start the season even as the starter. Because again, I as I've said before, I don't believe that quarterback is their top priority this offseason. I think you try and find a quarterback. I think if there's a quarterback there that makes sense when you draft, but if you're drafting 20th, and the guy that's still there on the board at quarterback is not the guy you really want, or is not a guy you have evaluated as a guy that could be a legitimate starting quarterback for your team, you don't just grab him because, we need a quarterback. I mean, I hate to use a Pirates term, but I'm okay with this being a bridge year if that's what it has to be. And if it's going to be a bridge year in terms of the quarterback spot, because you're fixing the offensive line, you're fixing the defensive line, you're fixing the inside linebacker spot, you're fixing some things with the secondary, you're basically, and receivers. I mean, there's so many other things that you need to really get to, get up to a better level than they are right now. If you have to have 1 year as a bridge year, that's okay. And if you're going to do that, you might as well just go with Mason Rudolph. Okay, you bring Marcus Mariota in, so you win, 9 games instead of 8 or something, and or whatever. That does nothing for me. To me, you might as well just go with Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins if he beats out Mason Rudolph. One of the problems the Steelers have is, this whole thing. One of the best things people say about Mike Tomlin is that, he's never had a losing season. Well, guess what? So if one of those 8-8s were 7-9, we would feel. I mean, that would change his resume. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. I go back to this, okay? Would you take, right now, the Philadelphia Eagles' last 5 years or the Steelers? That's what I would ask you. If people say, you're just basing it on the Super Bowl. No, I'm not. Obviously, they won a Super Bowl in 2017, right? Then they had 2 9-7 seasons, okay, which is what the Steelers have basically been doing, right? And then they went 4-11-1. Do you remember that? So they can't say, They can't say, oh, well, they haven't, in the last 5 years, had winning seasons or non-losing seasons. Well, okay, what does that mean? Because they had a Super Bowl, and this year they're 9-8 again. They've changed coaches, and they're probably a lot closer, especially if Jalen Hurts can develop. They're probably a lot closer to being good again, right? Than they would have been, than the Steelers are. So, okay, they went 4-11. But guess what? They got a new coaching staff in this year. They added some pieces. They've got some good young players on that team. That team is closer to being a legitimate contender than the Steelers are. And last year they were 4-11 and won. The Steelers were 12 and whatever. And this year, my point is, I look at it and say we worry too much about trying to slop together 8 and 9 or 9-win seasons so that we can say, well, at least they had a shot. They're in a wild card. This team this year never had a shot. They never had a shot to win, to get to the Super Bowl. So to me, if you're in that 8 and 9, 9 and 8, 8 and 9, type purgatory, if you're not moving forward, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're probably moving backwards. So I don't care about the I don't care what anyone says, honestly, about, well, I mean, at least if they're 9 and 8, they have a chance at the playoffs. Well, okay, who cares? I want them to be a team that rebuilds and gets to the point where we say, you know what, they legitimately have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. And again, I'm not one of those people that says, hey, they have to win the Super Bowl or bust. But, I go back over the last 11 seasons, guess what? They've had one legitimate chance to be a Super Bowl champion. The year, the year that they went to the AFC title game and lost to the Patriots, okay, the Patriots were just that much better. Period. And that's the way it goes. That's it. Even last year, you knew what happened. Even last year. And, last year they had 12 wins. Did anyone really at the end of that year believe they were a Super Bowl contender? No. So I'm just saying, to me, it doesn't have to be a team that wins the Super Bowl for me to say that was a really successful season. That's just the way it is.